introduce our special guest in a few hours. No, in a few minutes. But anyway, we love to have fun on the Talk of Life talk show with Elma. And we air every Monday at 8 p.m. Facebook and YouTube. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out every Monday. And eventually we will be going more than one day. Okay. So that's our goal. We always like to start off with Philippians 1:6. And I love this scripture because it talks about when you start something, doctor, you're going to finish it until the day of Jesus Christ. So I love that because we should finish whatever we start and we can do it with him, okay? And then my motivational quote is, when you start seeing your worth, you'll find it's harder to stay around people who don't. What you got to say about that?
Amen.
All right, then. I like Doctor on the show. Okay, so tonight our special guest is... Who do y'all think he is? Is Rene. And I'm not going to pronounce your last name because I will mess it up. Okay, so tell us your last name.
It is Lumene.
Woo, that sounds so cute. Lumene. Now, the way it's spelled, I would have messed it up.
Right.
Okay, so Rene Lumene, and then we have our guest back again that's filling in. Our co-host guest is Dr. Barr. And she's a queen. Look at her. Oh, she is just so fast, but I love her. Oh gosh, I should have known it came from another fast one up here. But we're all fast in Jesus' lane, okay? We can drive 70, 60, 80, whatever we want to on the top. How fast you drive?
125.
Oh, she always got to be fast. How fast you drive? Oh boy, Jaguar, how fast you in your lane?
Look, we're not going to talk about that.
Oh, look. She's so fast, she don't even have a number. Okay, Janae, you better stay slow down. But she got my godson, so she got to slow down. Okay.
Man.
So anyway, my lane is whatever way I want to drive it, okay? All right. So tonight we're going to get off into Renee's sauce. That means we want to see if he hot sauce, barbecue, ketchup, mustard, whatever. We're going to see which way he's going to tell us about his sauce. Okay, Rene.
Yes.
Now, how I found out about you
Okay.
was through...
Dr. Barnes, huh?
You got it.
That's right.
Dr. Barnes told me about you. And I said, oh my God, we're going to have him on the show.
Absolutely.
Okay? And sometimes, like I always say, Kimberly and I, we be going out snatching people. We forget who we done invite on the show. And we laugh because I said, Kim, did you invite? She said, no, did you invite? So we up here laughing. But tonight, Dr. Barnes introduced me to you.
Absolutely.
And we met through email, y'all. So email works, okay?
Absolutely.
And he agreed to be on the show. So tonight we're going to get into your business,
Sure,
okay?
sure.
So we want you to tell us about your company, is healthcare experiences.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about your company, what you do, how you got started. What's so, let me shut up.
Say some questions for
Well,
us.
before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on the show, and especially to be on the show with all you beautiful ladies here.
Thank you.
So it definitely is a pleasure for sure. Well, I think this business, it started a long time ago, just having a desire of being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And what I tell people this is that when something is for you, it's for you.
Yes.
And even though sometimes you don't know what it looked like or what it's going to be,
Yes.
God will eventually put things in place to get you to where you need to be. And so, if you don't mind, I'd like to start when I first got into the Navy, and I was stationed at a naval hospital in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, stop.
Who
And Tavana is getting ready to go to
I
the
heard,
Navy.
I heard. Congratulations.
Yes,
for
she's
you.
getting ready to go. So she has
questions
some
for
questions
you.
after you get finished. She's
Oh, for
leaving
sure.
out.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I had just got done with surgical tech school in Portsmouth, Virginia.
So,
That's my
And-
hometown.
Oh, it
That's
is?
her hometown.
All right.
You
Portsmouth.
relate to
in the
everybody.
house. All right. All right.
See,
I
it's
relate.
awesome.
I relate. Norfolk
Relating to
neighborhood.
everybody.
Yes.
And so I ended up getting stationed at the Naval Hospital in Jacksonville, Florida.
Uh-huh.
And I remember meeting all the surgical techs, and everybody was going to school.
Wow.
And all the surgical techs, they were going to school to become a nurse.
Mhm.
At that time, I thought, well, I guess I'll go to school to become a nurse as well, too. And so one day I was in general surgery. I was assisting doing a laparoscopic hernia repair procedure with this surgeon.
Wow.
His name is Dr. Whittegren.
Mhm.
And in the middle of surgery, he asked me, so, are you new here? And I told him yes. And he said, are you planning on going to college? I said, absolutely. And he said, well, what do you want to major in? And I told him, well, I guess I'm going to become a nurse too. And he said, well, you don't sound excited about
I
it.
was just finna say,
Right.
you sound like, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm just going to be a nurse.
And so, I think being so young and
Mhm.
just really trying to find my direction in life
Yeah.
and really what I
Yeah.
want to pursue.
Mhm.
And just hearing the other texts talking about they want to become a nurse. And
Yeah.
again, I just figured that's going to be the way for me to go.
Mhm.
So then he said, well, what do you really like? What do you like? What
That's good.
makes you happy?
Mhm.
And I told him business. But I said, I don't know exactly how
Right.
I'm going to get into business, but I guess business, right? So
but
then,
you knew you had a desire for business.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. So then his second question to me was, well, do you like healthcare? I said, absolutely. I like it, but I just don't know if I'm going to be in it for the long haul. So then he said, have you thought about healthcare administration?
Wow.
And I said, what is that?
Yeah.
So he said, think about it. Think about you being the CEO of a hospital someday. I said, really? He said,
Wow.
yeah. He said, look it up.
Plant that seed. Look at that.
I kid you not. I went home that day. I Googled healthcare administration. I read it and I said, oh my gosh,
This is
this
me.
is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So check this out, right?
Uh-huh.
So I immediately enrolled. I got my associate degree in healthcare administration.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
And then I think after 2 years of working in the operating room,
Mhm.
they asked me to go work in the ENT clinic to help out. And I fell in love with it. And eventually they allowed me to manage it. And
Wow.
that's when I really started falling in love with managing a clinic.
Mhm.
And then just before I got out the Navy, because I did
Mhm.
5 years, I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in healthcare management. And that's what really propelled my career as a healthcare administrator on the
Mhm.
civilian side. So having that conversation with Dr. Whittegren was in 2006.
Uh-huh.
In 2016, because I'm still in the Navy Reserves, right?
Okay. Okay.
So I go back to Naval Hospital, Jacksonville, Florida.
Uh-huh.
And because 2 weeks out of the year, I have to, work full time for the Navy. So they send me back there in general surgery and they say, hey, you're going to do a laparoscopic hernia repair. I said, okay. Usually I look at the schedule to see who the surgeon is going to be. That day,
Wow.
I didn't even look at the schedule. I just went in, set my table up
Uh-huh.
and everything. They bring the nurse, they bring the patient into the room. And eventually the surgeon walks in and I had to do a double take. I said, Dr. Whittegren?
That is so
And then
cool.
he looks,
Wow.
he said, your voice sounds familiar.
Uh-huh.
And I said, this is, Petty Officer Lumene. And I said, at the time, I was just a E3 in the Navy.
Aw.
He said, Lumene? He's like, are you serious? He was like, yeah. So 10 years later, here we are doing a
Back
laparoscopic
together again.
hernia
That is
repair.
so
And so he asked me, so where are you? What are you doing? And so I tell him, you won't believe this, but after that conversation, I went to school. I got my, my bachelor's degree in healthcare administration, got my master's degree, and I started managing all these practices. And this is what I do. And he's like, oh my gosh. He said, so you're telling me off of a simple conversation, it led to this career path.
Wow.
And so I said, yes. And so he was just amazed. And so, as we fast forward,
Mhm.
I'm in my career. I meet Dr. Barnes at JPS, and I tell you, working with her has been, interesting. But it doesn't matter where I've worked at.
Uh-huh.
I've always felt that desire to say, I know I will not fully feel happy until I
Yeah.
work for myself.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't until last year, June, working for HCA Physician Services, they tell me that my position is going to be eliminated.
Wow.
Now, initially, I wasn't scared. I wasn't really upset. I just said, okay,
That was your open door.
it was.
Mhm.
And so I remember driving home and telling my wife, I
Uh-huh.
said, hey, my position is going to be eliminated. So, I guess I
Get out.
Yeah.
Back to the bags.
I have a very supportive wife, and she said, just come on home. We'll
Oh,
sit
that's
down
sweet.
and we'll talk about it. And so I remember telling her that I don't think It doesn't matter how much money any company decides to pay me.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to be happy working for another healthcare company.
Uh-huh.
And so I figured, and so she said, well, you've always wanted to work for yourself. She said,
She is
why don't you
supportive.
go ahead and pursue it? And I said, well, I just don't know exactly what, plus starting a business, usually you have to invest a lot of money.
Yes.
So then she said, why don't you do consulting? You'll be great at it. She said, you've been doing this for 13 years at the time. You've been doing it for 13
She
years
is
and you'll be
awesome.
great at it.
Right.
And that was the light bulb for me. I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and pursue it.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
When she shared that with you,
Yeah.
did that make you feel good? Because, being the man of the house and everything, and
Mhm.
your job finna be eliminated.
Yes.
And then here's a wife encouraging you to
Yeah.
start your own business.
Absolutely.
Because most time we'd be like, where's the money going to come from? What's going to happen?
Right.
You start thinking about all of that. But she wasn't even worried about that. She knew, did she really feeling down that, hey, this is his time to open up his own business?
Yeah, she felt this was the season because for me, I'm a provider and my wife knows that. And
Mhm.
immediately I started thinking, oh my goodness, the mortgage got to get paid, the light bills
Yes.
got to get paid.
So you started thinking
all
about
this
that.
stuff. But the moment she said, listen,
Uh-huh.
I believe in you. The moment she said, I
Ooh,
believe
love
in
her
you,
already.
Right.
I knew, okay, you know what? I have to go for it because if she believes in me, then
Yes.
I know I could do this for sure.
That is so awesome.
And
What's your wife's name?
Christina.
Christina, hats off to you, baby. We send you a hat off for supporting your husband. I admire you. I can't
Absolutely.
wait to meet you one
Right,
day.
right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And again, that was what gave me the utmost confidence to
Yes.
say, you know what,
Wow.
I can't fail at this.
That's
If
right,
my
'cause
wa-
she got her support.
and the thing is, she said, hey, listen, I'm gonna give you a year. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give you a year
Right.
to
Yeah,
make
you
this
should
work
start
out.
Okay.
And if for whatever reason it doesn't work out, then you can always apply for another job. You
Yeah.
have the experience, you have the knowledge
That
and the
is
skill
so
set.
cool.
You'll be fine. So she
Mhm.
said, it may be tight, but we're gonna make it through.
Oh,
and
I
so
love her.
I think when you have a woman that can go through the
Yes.
struggle with you,
Right.
you're good to go.
Did y'all hear that,
Some
men?
people
Yeah.
don't appreciate
Yes.
that.
Absolutely.
A cheerleader. She's your greatest cheerleader.
Yeah, she
is.
sounds like
she
it.
is. And I'm so grateful for her because of that. And the next day, man, I started just doing my homework, getting my website together.
You
Just
laughed it up.
I mean, just going after. But you know what? The beautiful thing about it, and this is why I say, when God has something for you,
Yes.
it's for you. It doesn't matter what anybody think.
Yes.
Because for me, here I am thinking,
Yes.
because I think as an entrepreneur, fear is real, right?
Yes, it is.
And-
It's scary.
And so sometimes, you may think, I don't have enough experience. People's going to look at this company and say, oh, this is a little small company. We're not going to take them serious.
Mhm.
So a lot of these thoughts just kept going through my mind. But then again, I have to stop and think and say, wait a minute. All these big companies, they started small.
Yes.
They started somewhere.
Yes, yes.
And so
yes.
I said, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to go for it and I'm going to make it happen. Even if I have to knock on doors of doctor offices and introduce myself, let them
Yes.
know what my company is about. And so I tell you this, my company started off as a simple consulting. I was expecting to just help physicians with their practice as far as just kind of help tighten up their workflows, their processes, and just really help clean things up to allow them to be successful. And it grew to be so much more. So one day, this psychiatrist, he's based out of South Lake, he called me out of the blue.
That's a good area.
Out of the blue,
Yes.
he said, hey, I saw you on LinkedIn. I saw your experience and I need help with my practice. I kid you not, right? And he just called me out of the blue and he said, I had this young lady who was helping me, but she's moving to Lubbock. And so I don't have anybody to really help me. And so I was
Ooh, that
wondering
is awesome.
if maybe I can hire you. And he said, well, if you don't mind, let's go to lunch and we can talk about it.
Ooh.
Wow.
We went to lunch.
What did
and
you, wait a minute, after you got off, what did you do after you got
I
off?
was just like, God. I said, this is, and of course I told my wife, and my wife was like, well, see, I mean,
That
He'll
is
make room
awesome.
for you.
Won't he
He'll
do
make
it?
room for you.
Won't he do it? All
I
you have to
know.
do is go for
I
it.
know.
That is awesome.
And it's just, things just continue to happen. And so as I met with him, and initially he wanted me to hire me so I can work for him, but I said I have to stay true with what I want to do.
Right.
And I told him, I said, listen, I appreciate you wanting to hire me, but I'm starting my company. And so I said, I can be your consultant. And so he said, can you really do that? I said, yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, I can do that.
So we ended up, agreeing, on what he would pay me monthly. And so I was like, man, if I get 2 or 3, I'll be sitting pretty good. I was like, man, this is.
I know that's right.
This is,
This feel pretty good. This number look good, huh?
Absolutely. And so, well, hey, I'll say, so basically with him, he was like 40 grand a year. So I figured, okay, if I get a couple of those, man, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Right. So sure enough, I mean, I've been with them for over a year now, helping him with his practice, and his practice actually grown, which is great. So from him, another psychiatrist called me who's in Alabama, and I said, have her practice. Her practice is growing. So basically, my business has grown through word of mouth.
See, and that's good, isn't it?
It is.
That is good.
It is. And so now, I think it was probably April or May of this year, I ended up signing a corporate contract agreement with this physician assistant group. There's over 5,000 of them. And these group of physician assistant, they believe in innovation and technology.
Yes.
And so with telemedicine being such a big component, especially in during the COVID time, these nurse practitioners and PAs, they are looking to start their own practice virtually.
Wow.
So now I kind of find myself in a niche to where basically through this corporate agreement, these physician assistants are basically coming to me to say, hey, Rene, I'm ready to start my virtual practice. Can you help me? File the structure of my company, help me get my tax ID, help me with everything. So going from simple consulting to now doing credentialing, doing billing. Now I hired an employee to do remote patient
Wait a minute,
scheduling.
now you hiring somebody?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow,
I'm
yes.
growing.
Get out of
I'm
here.
growing.
That is awesome.
It's a blessing.
Yes,
and,
it is.
And so now my company went from consulting now to a managed service organization for provider practices. And so now just to see how it has grown so much, I'm always looking and just like, oh my gosh, last year I remember just working late on my website, just thinking, how am I going to get my clients? And so out of nowhere, they just called and word of mouth. And until this day, I have yet to really do an official marketing. Like I haven't knocked on doors. I haven't done anything. And, the calls are still coming in. And this is where I'm so blessed to be able to use knowledge and experience to turn it into a business and to be able to provide for my family.
Isn't that so? Do you have any
It's a
children?
blessing. I have 2. I have a 6-year-old daughter who's going into the 1st grade, and I have a 1-year-old son who's, man, he gives me a run for my money. I'll tell you that.
Wait till you get 2.
Oh, my God.
But he was gonna bring his kids. I was like, he said Nathaniel's a handful. I was like, well, let me tell you this, Rene. You might want to leave him alone.
Leave him home.
That is so awesome.
Absolutely.
So you basically do all of their paperwork, whatever.
So
or how do you
basically,
do things?
So what's a typical day?
Yeah, that's what I thank you.
So
Good.
a typical day for me, I'm up by 7:00, and by the time I'm up, I'm already, looking at the schedules for my clients. The girl who works for me, she's a hard charger. She's already up by 4:00 in the morning, just looking over billing.
Wow.
She's making sure the schedule looks right. And so if patients haven't showed up yet, she's calling patients,
Ooh,
making
she's good.
she is on the ball. I'm also just handling credentialing for other providers because I also have a credentialing platform where I can keep track on the process of where
awesome.
things are at. So as my providers are getting contracts with insurance companies, I'm calling them up, letting them know, hey, you can now accept Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare. And of course, they're getting excited, like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And, you know, just to know that I play a crucial role in their line of business to help them generate income as well. It really means a lot. And to me, it's fun because I remember at a certain time in my career, I felt like it wasn't fun anymore. But now that I'm working for myself and the relationships I have with the providers and just being able to me, I look at myself as a partner with their business because they're always, every week I have a meeting with all my providers and we're reviewing their billing, their credentialing, policies. Basically anything and everything about their business, we are reviewing it. And so I'm constantly on conference calls all day long, just basically guiding them and just giving them advice. Because I think at the end of the day, if they're successful, then I'm successful as well. So in turn, they'll be more willing to, of course, refer me to some of their provider friends and just continue to grow.
So are you working from home or do you have your own office?
I am working from home and I plan to keep it that way.
I'm going to keep it that
Absolutely.
I don't blame you.
0 over here.
Absolutely. Because I think, again, when I look at the future of medicine, things are going virtually. And so I think for me, from a smart business standpoint, yes, I can go and get me, a commercial office space and lease out office. But that to me is unnecessary expense.
Right.
Because I'm proving and I'm showing a lot of these providers that I can be just as effective from home managing because I have access to everything and I can see it. I can be just as effective as if I was actually in the clinic as well. And so with the clients that I have, they're seeing it and they love it. And the beauty of it is that the process I implement allow my providers to have very little to no staff. So basically anything administrative is handling it for me and my employee. And as I continue to grow, the plan is, of course, to hire more staff to be able to work from home. But of course, depending on the type of practice it is, they may need like a medical assistant or maybe a nurse. But as far as scheduling a patient, credentialing, billing, all that, it could be done remotely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So she works from home too.
Absolutely, she does.
So they probably I'm beginning to learn how to like working from home, but it's hard when you are a facilitator and you're doing it over. But I'm beginning to like it.
Yeah.
I get to sit there and look at Zoom and talk to all of the people on Zoom, So I just zoom in, zoom out, and do my workshop, my PowerPoint.
Right.
But I'm beginning to learn how to do that. Kim, you work from home too.
don't like it.
Oh, really?
She don't like it.
Man.
I want my home to be my home. I don't want.
I
don't like talking. I want to separate the two, the customer, because I work in the workforce.
Okay.
Right.
So we have to talk to customers all day.
Gotcha.
And you have to listen to their complaints, unemployment, getting them to work, back to work. I'd rather do that off in the office because our population is so diverse. We get people out of prison. I don't want to hear them. I don't want to hear my house in my head. I want it at the office so you can ride away in the sunset. Shaquita fussing at you because she ain't got her food stamps, baby. Like, girl, you ain't got your food stamps, cuz you didn't do the requirements.
Miss Kim would have been ready to clock out.
Clock out.
But
it is good working at home, especially when you're the owner of the company. It's good.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But I'm working for
I got you.
the state.
Yeah, we work in workforce, but mine is facilitation. So,
Sure.
but I'm like Kim. I don't
She
mind
in the
going back.
ivory towel.
Okay.
She on the 6th floor. She on the 6th floor. I'm down here.
But
What's the worst part of the ship? What's the worst part of the ship?
I'm on the 6th floor.
You got this beautiful window.
It's a beautiful office. I miss my office.
Congratulations.
Yes, I love
What's
it.
the worst part of the ship, Renee? That's where I am. That's where I am.
But Tavana has some questions for you because she's getting ready to go to the Navy. This girl is so excited about going to the Navy.
21 days.
Look, she counted days. Checking them out.
21 days. 3 more weeks.
So what was your questions, Tavana?
All right, so my first question is, do you remember all of your general orders?
Good question, no, to be honest.
He doesn't have time to remember. He does not have time. You got
Because I know
the stuff up there now.
Well, so I tell you this, right? So when you go to boot camp, it is a must because boot camp I remember my recruiter telling me, you will remember boot camp as if it was yesterday, and it's true. I could probably remember every single detail that happened. And if you are the type to, if you don't like people, giving you orders, it might be a little rude awakening for you. But at the same time, the best advice that my recruiter gave me, and I'll give it to you, is that it's a game. Don't take it serious. All the fussing in your face, the taunting, all that, it's just a game, because the moment you graduate, your RDCs, they just flip the switch and you're like, oh my gosh, they're actually like real people that will joke around with you. But during training, just follow direction, listen to what they tell you, and follow orders, because what you will see, there will be some people who come in that have, that are set in their ways that may not necessarily be good. They will break them down. And so the plan is to break you down and build you up, give you confidence.
Yes.
Because when you go through boot camp, they will put you through certain exercises where you have to work as a team, because they're going to always tell you, when you out on that battlefield, you have to rely on your counterparts, right? And so if everybody know what they're doing, then everybody should have confidence in knowing that they will make it out safe. But if somebody is not paying attention, then somebody could potentially be at harm. But it'll be fun, and you will eat a lot too. So
I'm excited.
It'll be good.
You gonna eat a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean, they'll wake you up early in the morning. You eat your breakfast.
I'm not, because they're gonna make us run.
Well, yeah. I mean, you will be exercising.
It's gonna be running a lot. I just don't want my division to be in trouble. I'm so excited. Like, people like, you gonna be yelled at all the time. I'm be like,
swimming. Yeah,
okay.
make sure to learn how.
I'm
to
good
swim.
on that. I'm
she's a lifeguard.
That's taken care of.
Good.
But
Yeah.
what else was I gonna ask you? You remember your sailor's creed? I hope so.
Yeah,
That's
I
important.
do. Yeah, absolutely.
He's a veteran.
Absolutely,
He
because right now, being in the Navy Reserve, so I'm what they call an LPO, which is a leading petty officer. So I'm with the EMF Det F, which is a detachment I'm a part of, and so basically I'm one of the higher enlisted members of my unit, and so there's a lot of mentorship that I have to do, and so from time to time I'll ask everybody in my unit to get up and we'll recite the service creed from time to time.
Were you in Great Lakes?
I was at Great Lakes, but now I believe they don't do it at Great Lakes anymore.
It's still there.
It's still
I
there?
don't know if you were there.
Okay, so I think school. Depending on what school you go to.
So I'm an MA.
Okay, a Master of Arms. Okay, yeah.
So I'm gonna be coming back to Texas.
Okay, yep. Because
After.
everything is in San Antonio, I think.
Yeah, San Antonio is the Lackland Air Base.
So that's where you're gonna come back to?
Well, that's where I have to go to for my school.
Right.
I don't know where my command gonna be. I hope.
Yeah.
And did you meet your wife in the Navy or? After?
No, so my wife.
I'm gonna meet my husband anyway.
My wife and I, we actually knew each other since we were little kids.
Aww.
And,
Wow.
Yeah, it's
so sweet.
Y'all gonna make me cry.
It's really interesting. We knew each other when we were little kids. Went to elementary together, middle school, and we didn't start dating until I think my junior or senior year in high school. And and I always tell people this, right? Because a good friend of mine, his name is Alex, and we were at one of my friend's house during high school watching a basketball game, and I remember Alex asked me, he said everybody used to call me by my last name, so he said, Lumene, we're about to be seniors and you haven't dated anybody else, what are you waiting for? And at the time I told him, I said I figured I'll find somebody in college or wherever I decide to go, and so he said, if there's anybody you could date, who would it be? And so I actually gave it thought, and my first response was, actually there's nobody at my school. And then I turned back to watch the basketball game, and for whatever reason she popped into my head, and so I said Christina, and so they said, which Christina? And so I said so then I said Christina Pierre. It's like, really? They're like, yeah. I said, every time I see her, she's always quiet, she's not into the whole popularity thing, she's just calm, she's just into herself, and so I like that, right? So the next day I walked to school, and at the moment I entered into the building, I see Christina walking towards me.
Are you serious?
And so she said, you have something to tell me? And I looked around What are you talking about?
She was aggressive, wasn't she? Whoa.
That's
You know?
right, Christina. That's right,
She said,
girl. Get your
she
man.
said, do you have something to tell me? And I'm looking at her crazy. I'm like, no. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, I have forgot the conversation from the previous night. So as she's telling, she's like, I think you do have something to tell me. And I look over her shoulder. I see Alex on the floor laughing.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh. I said, okay. So then I said, I think Alex must have told you the conversation we had. And honestly, ever since then, we never left each other's side. I mean, I've never even asked her out. We just never, we just, yeah. And I mean, to this day, she makes fun of me. She said, you still haven't asked me out. She's like, yeah,
Well, you need to go and ask her out on a date. That is so how long you all been married?
14 years.
Really?
14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unique. That's a nice love story.
Yeah. We got married really young at 19 years old. So,
Wow.
Yeah, really young.
That is, because I got married at 21 and we've been married 38 years
Woo-wee.
this year.
That is
And
amazing.
we still dating each other. He still turns me on when he walks through the door.
Drink your water. Drink your water.
Tamana say, drink your
Drink
water.
your water.
Tamana say, drink your water.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been nice.
See, I told y'all we keep it up here.
But you have to keep the fire in your
Absolutely.
marriage and keep going strong and everything.
Absolutely.
Speaking about how do you keep the fire in your marriage?
Well,
As a
Can't be
single
no conference
person,
call either.
Hold on, let me turn around.
inquiring single minds want to know.
Oh, man. For that, I try to see, I have a grateful wife. For her, it doesn't it's not about how much money I spend on her.
Mm-hmm.
And often when I do buy her nice things, she'll be like, return it now, return it out, and I love that about her because it could be the smallest gesture. Like if I go to the store and probably buy her favorite chocolate candy bar or something, that means a lot to her because it's really about the thought behind it, right?
There you go.
And so, for her, and I always tell her this, she is great at that. I think for years, she had to kind of whip me into kind of, being more and more thoughtful because sometimes I could be one track minded where if I'm focused on something, I kind of go at it and then I kind of forget. But so, I think over the years, I've gotten better of just, doing small little surprises here and then. And I still think I can, improve.
Well, we can always improve,
I'm just trying to take notes.
She's taking notes, okay? Because this is what she wants, okay? But it's good to know that. So how do you juggle being your own CEO and then you have the 1-year-old
Yes.
be too soon and then the 6-year-old? So how do you juggle that? Because they're at home too right now, right?
They are.
Is your daughter gonna go into the school or she's doing it at home?
She's going back to school.
Look, now you sound like you happy. Are you afraid of her going back into the classroom with the virus and everything?
So my wife is a teacher. She's a 4th grade teacher.
Oh, okay, good.
And my daughter goes to the school where my teacher,
with
where
your
my wife teaches.
Oh, that's good. So she get to ride with mom or?
Correct. She does. She
Okay.
does. And I know initially that was a big concern for us because, because at the end of the day, I want to protect my children.
That's right.
And so, because my wife, she would be on conference calls with the principals and the other teachers, and they would really come up with different ways, how to protect the kids. And so I think, and so for us, we live up in Denton. And so with the Denton ISD, I think some of the kids will be online and some kids that want to come to school will come to school. And I think what they plan on doing, I guess the classes will be limited on the amount of students they have. And they're of course going to rearrange the desk so that way they are distanced. But I think they're also putting these clear visors on the desk. So I guess when the kids
I saw that on TV.
Right. So, and then on top of that, they'll have their face mask as well too. So I think they're taking all the proper precautions to make sure the kids are properly sanitizing their hand and that they're maintaining social distancing. Plus, my daughter said, "Daddy, I'm ready to go to school." So I said, "Okay."
She grown up.
Yeah, she's ready.
She got a little backpack and all that too.
She is. Listen, if she could have went to school last month, she would have been at school. She said, "Daddy, I'm tired." You know, so
I'm ready to go to school now. What
Yeah.
about the 1-year-old?
man, listen, I'm excited. He's going to daycare. He gotta go. He gotta go.
I think he's gonna say, I'm excited because I'm gonna have my 1-year-old home with me. Oh no, you're shipping him off the daycare, so you done checked out the daycare too,
Yeah,
right?
because the truth is that I mean, again, I love my son. You know, yeah.
But they gotta go. He got a business to run, okay?
Because you know, whenever he's up, I stop working.
Okay.
I have to because you know he's 1 year old and he wants
Yeah.
to be around me
Oh,
and
that's so sweet.
and for me, you know, what's important is to maintain a level of professionalism. Even
Right.
though I'm home, I don't
Yeah.
want my customers to hear a crying baby
Baby,
sometime.
yeah.
You know, and so usually, you know. If I could get him to play, sometimes I'll get my 6-year-olds like, Gabby, take him, go play with him. And I'll sneak off to the room, do what I gotta do, and then I'll go back to attend to him. Or like whenever he take his naps during the day, then that's when I'm, you know,
You really on that
Oh
computer
yeah, I'm
then
trying to get
now.
as much as I can. And then usually, you know, the kids are in bed by 8 o'clock. So by then too,
Okay.
you know, sometimes like if my wife is catching up on something, then I go away and try to catch up on some work as well.
Okay.
But the fact that by next week my son will be in daycare, hey, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know,
Then you're gonna be getting up, going there, checking on him, you know.
I know.
Oh, but he's not here. He's in daycare. Next few minutes, he's jumping up again. Oh,
Yeah.
I keep forgetting he's in daycare, you know. Oh, but that's it. But you're gonna miss him. You know
I
that,
will.
don't you? You're
I
gonna miss
will.
both of them.
But I think at the same time too, for him, because my daughter had, you know, a great opportunity to go to a Christian faith daycare school where she learned her Bible verses.
Oh.
I mean, it really prepared her for kindergarten, you know?
Good.
And so if my son is home with me, then we'll be cheating him out of all those
Yeah.
things, you know?
Right.
And so
Right.
I think for him,
That'll be good.
he needs that.
So he'll be going to the Christian daycare too.
Absolutely.
So
With his
he'll be able to do.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, even now, because as a family, when we eat dinner, we always make it a habit to pray.
Yes.
And I love to see my 1-year-old whenever we say, okay, it's time to pray, and we all hold each other's hand.
Uh-huh.
He's extending his hands too, you know. And then, you know, whenever we're done praying, he said, I did it, you know.
Amen. Okay. He was speaking in tongues.
His
Absolutely. So
I saw when you said that, I thought about this little boy.
That is
I don't
so
know if
cute.
you all have seen him, but I think they put him on Facebook where he was in school, like he stood up and just started praying. And I'm looking at this. I mean, he was really praying. I'm like, wow, this little boy can pray. You know, that is so.
Yeah.
That is so good.
Absolutely. Got to
That
raise
is-
them up, you know.
But
And
to say train up a child in the way that they should go, that's good.
Absolutely. And, you know, one thing I tell my kids, and, you know, sometimes my wife will say, stop preaching to the kids. I said, no, I need to talk to them because for me, you know, I want my kids to grow up to know about business,
Yes.
to learn about finance,
Yes.
you know, because my wife and I mean, we're on a financial journey. And, you know, I was telling, you know, Dr. Barnes by the time, because, you know, we're 33 years old, by the time we're 38, I mean, we're expecting to have a couple of mil tucked away. You know what I mean? And so a couple of mil tucked away.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, but, you know, it's all about showing, you know, building wealth
Yeah.
and teaching our kids about business, because like even with this business I have, like I'm already telling my daughter, listen, you know, whether you decide to be in healthcare or not, I hope to build this business to where
Yes.
you are an owner of this business when I'm long and gone.
Yeah.
Because again, it's really about building something that you can leave for
Yeah.
your kids
There you go.
and teach them the business
Yes.
so that they know exactly how it should be ran. And then maybe, you know, as they grow up, I'm putting them to work.
That's good. Bringing them into the company.
Absolutely. I'm gonna teach you about customer service. I'm gonna teach you
And that's so
about billing, about
customer
credentialing. I'm gonna teach you about all of that stuff, because when they are well rounded, and even for them too, maybe help them start a business of their own, maybe selling something online, having their e-commerce store, learning about your profit and loss statements, learning how to charge, for your services or products, understanding those things, because it really makes a big deal. And then of course, learning about taxes and all
what
that.
You're doing is creating generational blessings.
Absolutely.
We always talk about generational curses.
Curses, thank you.
Let's talk about generational blessings,
Blessings.
and I think that's great. And just as an aside, he told me not to say much. In a sense, he said, "Don't steal the show." So I've been very quiet. But I just want to. But now,
That's good. That's good.
no, I just want to just put a plug in. Rene, we've known each other since 2000, I think 2013.
13, yep.
And he's always been a top-notch. I mean, I used to joke with him, see, people like a pencil pusher. But I had the utmost really respect for Rene, and he's always been like, everybody else is here, but Rene doesn't settle for being here.
I
Rene was
agree.
always here. He do, his corners just like, he's still in the Navy. I mean, he dressed like he was on Armani man. But he's always, he wants to do things the right way and with precision and accuracy. So I gave him a hard time, but that's because I really did respect what he was doing. I just like to joke him a lot.
Yeah.
But I've always, and
Thank
I've never
you.
said that, but I do really respect you a
Thank
great
you.
deal.
I
But
appreciate that.
But the good thing about this is that you are a black male,
Yeah.
have his own business.
Yeah.
So now what would you tell another black person, or just a person in general? But I really like it, because when I see a black male out there with his own business, it really
Absolutely.
impresses me, because
Yeah.
you don't see a lot of this out there.
Correct.
And
Correct.
everything. You either see them doing drugs
Mhm.
or, we always want to profile the negative all the time.
Right.
And this is something that's positive,
Yeah.
where you had set in your mind and the seed was already planted
Correct.
through somebody else,
Mhm.
encouraging. And that's what we need to do, is encourage one
Encourage each
another.
Absolutely.
Not be jealous, but say, hey,
Yeah.
if Rene can do this,
Yeah.
then how can I help someone else
Mhm.
to become this business owner? And we know that you had God in your life. And a lot of time he said, if you acknowledge him in all thy ways, and he will direct your path.
Absolutely.
So how would you be able to tell somebody else that's seeking this, they want their own business, they may not know, like you said, you didn't really know at that time, but
Correct.
you wanted to be in business.
Mhm.
What would you share with them?
I would tell people this all the time. First and foremost, make sure to get down on your knees and pray to God, right? You have to ask for clear direction.
Yes.
And one thing I tell people all the time, this is really not my business. I truly believe this is God's business.
Yes.
I'm working in it because I think as a business owner, you don't want to get too caught up in being a CEO and just
and getting a big head and can't nobody tell you that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think it's important to remain in prayer. It doesn't matter how much success you gain, because sometimes, right, every client I get may not be the best client for me, and I have to be able to say, hey, you know what, no thank you, and so I think I would tell people, stay in prayer, seek direction. Whatever God put in your heart, don't be afraid to pursue it.
Yes, I love it.
Because whether you know it or not, God will send people to you.
Ooh, yes, He will.
Sometimes it's just through simple conversation. Somebody may say something, and that's going to be that very thing to spark that idea and point you in that right direction. And once you start going into that direction, then so much things start coming from that.
You be like,
right, and again, because I think about where my company started, I mean, I wasn't offering all these services that I'm now offering, but now I'm like, wow, I mean, I'm offering a lot of these great services. And again, these providers, they're reaching out. And so again, it's just been a blessing. I would tell people, don't be afraid, pursue it. And you know what? If for whatever reason it doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that there isn't another opportunity for you. Because whenever you start a business, sometimes I think, people want the business to be a certain way. But the business market will force you to adjust and make changes, right? Right. And then you're like, oh my goodness, I never imagined to be doing this, but for whatever reason, this is the path it ended up leading me to. And so I think it's, again, staying in prayer, following your heart, and seek people who have done what you've done. Talk to them, have those conversations.
Get more knowledge,
more
wisdom.
Absolutely. Never be afraid to reach out to people and ask them questions, because when you have knowledge, people can't take that away from you.
That's right.
And you take that knowledge and you turn it into a business, and you'll be successful. You'll be all right.
And I like the part where you said pursue it.
Yeah.
Because the word say He'll make room for your gift.
Absolutely.
And a lot of time when God give you a vision, you have to manifest it. Go on and do it. My son, when he started his photo booth, he went. It was first I was fearful. I ain't gonna lie, because when he came in and said, I'm gonna step out on faith.
Yeah.
And I went,
really? Yeah.
Really? See, I was like, I'm the one that started thinking, where the money? How's it gonna come?
Right.
But I told him, if that's what he want to do, I was going to support him. But the Bible said, consider the cost.
Yeah.
And you have to consider. But he's a number person. Yeah. He's like me. I love numbers. I love math. I'm not good at it too much now, because this new stuff is but anyway, but I love math, and being an engineer, my degree is in mechanical engineering.
Okay, awesome.
And being into that, I had to learn how to do the numbers.
Right.
And he got into the numbers, and he said, well, Mom, I could do that. I said, well, did you do your research? He said, yeah, I did research. I said, okay. Right. Well, we're going to just step out. But he's been doing good until COVID came in. But God is still blessing him, because the same people are still calling him and, booking him for 2021.
Wow.
And he started just from just showing the product and people, let me get you, and that's good. And he always put God first. And even when he graduated from school, his art school, and he said, Mom, I'm going to take your show to another level.
Absolutely.
And he is taking this show through God blessing him. He's taking the show to another level, because we want those that are not, you're unknown to me. But we want everybody to know Rene. Right. Okay? Y'all know him, okay? And so we want everybody to know you. And we're so happy and proud that you're able to come on the show and share your business,
Thank you.
And Kimberly, you have anything to say? Because she's our little I don't know what you call her. She's one that always, she's like that little devil. She got okay.
Yes.
But
were
what's
you
your
guys
question?
already Christians prior?
Oh, yes.
You were Christians at a young age?
Absolutely. I want to say I gave up my life to the Lord at the age of 18.
Awesome.
I had a really good friend of mine. His name is Stanley. His dad paid for me to go through a catechism class where I was learning about the Bible and everything. And I remember on our graduation day, something just came over me, and I remember just being in tears. I just couldn't, I didn't know why. I'm like, I just can't stop crying. I'm just crying. But I just knew that it was really God moving in me. And I think, sometimes in life, you have to really surrender yourself to God and allow him to take over and just allow him to just take the steering wheel of your life and just guide you. And even just stepping out on faith, let me tell you, it's probably one of the most scariest things, because you don't know, right? You don't know.
Those unknowns, you don't know.
You're right, you
Correct.
don't know.
You don't
And
know.
my other question is, thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we salute him in the Navy.
What is it, y'all? Hoo-yah. Can I get a hoo-yah from y'all?
Hoorah.
Hoorah.
There you go.
Oh, look at her. She has two sons
My
in the
two sons are
Navy.
in. One's in Norfolk, stationed in Norfolk.
The other's still in Illinois.
Recruit.
Okay, wonderful.
And then I'm
Great.
next.
Okay.
She's my
Ready.
other one over
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
So where did you sail? Were you on a ship, or you just?
So the only time I was on a ship was when I deployed to Haiti back in 2010.
You
when
went
the
to
earthquake-
Haiti?
Yes.
I
yes.
thought I saw that on your page.
Yeah.
You gave a shout out to all your people in
How'd
Haiti.
you like
Yeah, so my family's from Haiti, right?
Oh,
That's why
Yeah,
you put
yeah.
that on your.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why that on your
Yeah.
page.
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
I saw that on his page, and I was like, maybe that's where he's from, because not too many
So-
people give a shout out.
They don't.
Shout out
They
to-
don't. And because I remember when the earthquake happened, I was shocked. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe something like this happened." And so I remember they were looking for people to go to Haiti, especially if you speak the language. So I said,
Wow.
"Absolutely, I'll go."
Awesome.
And it was sad. And so that's when I went on the USS Comfort. And man,
Neat.
the ship is so big. Once you're in it, I mean, I even forgot I was even on the ship because they were just so big, and
It's like
I
a
hardly.
city. My
yeah.
son's in like a
I mean, the
city.
ship hardly moved, and we were doing surgeries, and I mean, we had to do leg amputations. We had to do a lot of wound debridement and clean out the wounds. It was rough. I mean, I was on the other side pulling the saw with the surgeon.
God.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's. I mean,
All right, doctor. All right, doctor.
Dr. Porter.
All right, doctor.
Oh man, I'm up here getting chills thinking about that.
but I can say those were experiences that people don't get every day.
Right, right.
But at the same time, I think just to be able to speak to my fellow Haitian men and women, and just to try to put them in comfort, just to let them know, hey, we're here for you.
That's so
We want to make sure that we make the best decision for your health, right? Because I remember one guy in particular, his name was Wilson, and I believe it probably was his left foot. Half of it was smashed, and the skin came off to where you can see the bones of his toes, and it was so infected to the point where it's either they cut half of it, or if he leave it, the infection will eventually spread and kill him. He had 8 kids. He was the only provider for his family. And if you guys know, I mean, Haiti is like one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere. And he was so adamant about not, chopping off that foot. And I said, listen, I get it. I probably wouldn't want to, but you have to think about the longer picture, right? I say you may have that nub to still walk on it. And at the time, there's a lot of organizations that would give prosthetic, limbs or whatnot. And so we were fortunate enough to get him hooked up with one. And I remember after the procedure, he had the doctor find me. He was like, I want to talk with Lumene. And I remember I went down to where he was stationed, and he gave me the biggest hug. He said, hey, thank you so much for talking me into it. I'm glad I did it, because I now know that I'll be able to live to at least be with my family and still be able to walk with the prosthetic that they will give me to still work and provide for my family. So it was good.
So while you was in Haiti, were you able? Do you still have family left there?
Yeah,
Or
I
were
still
you able to
do.
see- you were
I
able to
still
see
do.
your family?
Yes, my family is huge. I have a large family in Port-au-Prince, and that was really like the epicenter of where everything really took place. And I have family in the outskirts of Haiti as well.
Wow.
But thank goodness, everybody for the most part was fine. But my grandmother, she did pass away. But I think it was because of her being elderly and the condition that the country was in afterwards. She ended up passing away. But
Is your mom and parents still living? Or?
no, so my mom, she lives in Miami.
Oh, your mom lives in Miami.
Right. And my father, he lived in Laughlin, Nevada, but he passed away in 2018.
So do you go back to visit Haiti every once in a while?
So the last time I went to Haiti was for my father's funeral, because I flew his body out there. So that was in 2019 of January when we buried his body.
Okay. So mom is in Florida, so you get to go to Florida a lot.
Yeah, I do. Every so often, because I was born and raised in Miami, Florida.
Wow.
But after being away for so long, it's it's different.
I have a question.
Okay.
What's the question, doctor?
Are you a Dallas Cowboys fan?
Why do you have to add that question?
Because I want to know. I want to know. Are you a Dallas Cowboy fan?
I stay true to my Miami team. So.
Miami.
You didn't tell me he was. Wait a minute. Who's the team in Miami?
Miami Dolphins,
Oh,
Miami Heat.
You know,
I
I knew my adopted. I just wanted to see,
Yeah.
But that's okay. I was just like, sure, almost over with now. You should have asked at the beginning. But that's okay. We love you. We love you anyway.
Maybe you're good.
Well, I'm mad at the
Locked in.
Cowboys now, so.
I'm not you're a cowboy show. Why you mad at the Cowboys? Come back here. Why are you mad at the Cowboys?
Not them, it's the owner.
Oh, okay. Say the
Okay.
owner, not
Okay,
that.
I'm mad at the owner.
Okay.
I have a
goodness.
question
We'll have
as
her back on
well.
the
Sure,
show.
sure.
So,
Wow.
do you just, how many
Yeah.
languages do you speak? Just
So for me, it's just Creole. So Creole and English, really. So Creole is very, I tell people is a mixture of French and Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah,
okay.
because some of our words, it's like Spanish, and, and majority of it, I would say, is French.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay, that's
So say
awesome.
something in French. Say how are you doing?
Well, it would be in Creole, so I would say, like,
Okay.
if I seen you today, I would say, bonsoir, Madame Elma, qui j'en ai aujourd'hui.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
right.
But
Oh, that sounds
but,
so romantic.
but let me say you this. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. My Creole, it will sound good to you, but because I've lived in the U.S. for so long. When I go to Haiti, it's like, man, your Creole is horrible. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So it's
It's kind of like
Yeah.
more like slang to them because
yeah.
Oh, they will
Right.
criticize you.
Oh yeah. They will. They was like they usually tell me I have a heavy tongue because certain words doesn't flow out as best as it should, and it's okay. I mean, my wife makes fun of me. She was like, you can't speak Creole. I'm like, listen, I can speak it. Okay,
Now, she's not from there, is she?
she's not,
Okay, so-
but I mean, she speak it better than me though.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Did
oh,
you
yeah.
teach her?
No. For us, I mean, believe it or not, growing up, when I was maybe like 6-7 years old, there was a point where I spoke English in school and Creole at home
Okay.
okay.
only.
Okay.
And then, I remember at a point in time, I was kind of shy just to even speak English. But as I grew up, I just started speaking English more. But now for me, I wish and I do try to make an effort to speak Creole more because my daughter doesn't really know it. She knows a little bit,
Okay.
but whenever my wife want to talk about something, then don't want her to know, then we'll talk Creole.
That is so good. And I bet they wonder what is daddy and mama talking about.
But you know what? She started to pick up on things because whenever we talk, she looking at us. She's like,
She's like, what's
are you
that?
talking about this? I'm like, damn. She's picking things out,
She done picked up on it, He think he's smart. But
Yeah.
just to look at you, Renee,
Yeah.
it's like, you seem like you was a real quiet, shy person.
Yeah, I was. And I think to some
But what made
extent,
you change? Is it because of the business making you talk more? Because you seem so quiet.
yeah, I mean, naturally for me, I'm an introvert. And I think years ago,
Me too.
I would not even
What you
admit-
say, Kim? I know you didn't say that.
That's real hard to believe.
But no, I can take that back. Yes, she probably was because
Yeah.
back then, but not now.
Hey, people grow, and I think
Yeah.
that's the beauty about life. Because I think for me, if you saw me among my friends, I was the chill, quiet,
Yeah.
easygoing type of guy, while my friends just kind of loud and rowdy.
Yeah.
But I figured that as I, as I started to grow up and especially get into my career, especially when you're in leadership,
Yeah.
you have to.
That's right.
And for me, I think it has to be a fine line, right? Not turn it up, but
Turn up.
oh, turn it
Turn
up.
up.
Oh, okay.
We ain't talking about turn up green.
Negatory.
But I think you have to. For me, I'm trying to, I think to some extent, trying to find that middle ground to where sometimes in silence, people can still see you
Yes.
and respect you,
Yeah.
but also understand that, okay, when he needs to speak up, he will.
Yeah.
And so I think people learn to respect that because, again, I don't want to just talk just to show my presence,
Right.
but you will respect me because you see what I do, how I move, how I operate.
Right.
And so I think
Yes.
there's that mutual respect. And so I like what I do do the talking for me versus me just doing all the talking all the
But
time.
that's good,
So,
because you do look very professional.
well, thank you. I
Those
appreciate
glasses
that.
really make you look so professional. But this is so. I'm just so. I also see that you're a public speaker, a philanthropist, and a podcaster. You actually get up in public speak.
Yes, so I have done, and I know Dr. Barnes, she definitely hooked me up with the turn
That's
of
a
12,
turn on.
right? She's always hooking me up, I tell you, man. So it doesn't matter how far I get in life. At some point, I always have to give credit where it's due.
That's
and
right.
So,
Really.
and so I definitely appreciate that. You know, she always look out for a brother.
go,
You know what I mean?
That's
But yeah, so I'm always looking for opportunities to continue to speak, whether it's motivational speaking,
Yes.
whether it's even on business,
Yeah.
just volunteering, just talking to people, teaching them how to start up their business. Because I think anytime, and again, I love speaking, but at the same time, sometimes I'm kind of terrified of it. But the moment I get up and speak,
You okay?
I'm
That's
good
it.
to go.
That's it.
And so again, I think public speaking is I would highly recommend it for any entrepreneur or really for anybody.
That's right.
Because in life, when you transition, I think public speaking is a way for you to continue to earn income. It doesn't matter how old you get. If you can speak well and you can always give great insight and great information, people will come and listen to you speak.
Okay, I know we can. Did you have anybody else have a question?
I do.
Okay.
Well, it's two. But,
Go ahead.
so did you take on any leadership roles when you were in boot camp or A school?
So I tell you this, when I was in boot camp, I was in the best shape of my life because coming right out of high school, I did track, I did cross country, I played
that's
basketball.
good.
Oh wow.
And I remember, I think after the third week of boot camp, because I think your first 2-3 weeks, you have to go through medical. And once they clear you and and they know for sure that you're physically healthy, that's when they can start making you do push-ups, making you run and do all that stuff. And I kid you not, at the time I was just 18 years old, and there were grown men way older than me. They were crying. I mean, doing push-ups, crying. Like, I can't, And then, I was like the last one still going, still running, doing burpees. And the RDCs tried their best to break me physically, and they couldn't. And then the RDC said, "My goodness, you're a freaking animal. I can't believe." He was like, "Damn it, man." They were literally upset.
Yeah.
And so I remember afterwards, they called me over. It's like, "Recruit, get over here." And so I remember going, I was like, "Oh my gosh, what did I do?" I was like, "Man, I probably should have just act like,
Everybody else.
yeah, just kind of gave in." But then he said, "Hey, listen," he was like, "Listen, man, you're really in good shape. So I'm going to make you the athletic petty officer of the unit."
I was looking at that.
So every time, my unit had to exercise, I would always lead them into
That's
exercise.
awesome.
And so that right there really started my leadership route in the military.
Yeah.
And so I remember even being a third class or E4 in the Navy,
That's a
working at the Naval Hospital and being a leading petty officer of a department. It wasn't common to be an E4 and leading a department being that young. And I remember my department head, she said, "Hey, I want Petty Officer Lumene to be the LPO of the clinic." And she would take me to meetings where the commanding officers, the captains would be in, and I'm the only enlisted. And I would talk about all these healthcare data, the finances, and everybody looking at me like, "What? Just how does he know this?" And I remember after the meetings, they came to us like, "Man, you're really sharp." But it's just the opportunity because again, Dr. Michelle Liu and African American woman, she saw that I was hungry for it, and she gave me that opportunity to be in that leadership role. And again, there's so many people I could thank along the way that have put me in positions to learn, to lead, and to be able to gain the experience that I have today.
Good question, Savannah.
Yeah.
How many years did you serve in the Navy?
So I did 5 years active duty and the rest. So a total right now, I'm actually coming up on 15 years.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm coming up on
awesome.
15 years. So,
Yeah.
you know, at the 20
Awesome.
years mark, I can finally hang it up. So,
Five more years.
Five more years.
Finally
Number
hang
of
it up.
grace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hang it up.
Yeah,
Our
That's
time is
awesome.
almost up. What
Yeah.
were you about to say now?
No, it's just again being on this show. Thank you so much, and again being on this platform is and you know just to be able to talk about my company, and I mean you guys are asking great questions, and again I'm very fortunate and grateful to be here. Thank
And
you.
what is the name of your company again?
It is called Healthcare Experiences.
And how can they get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me. My email is Rene@healthcareexperiences.org, and or you could go to www.healthcareexperiences.org, and my website is actually a network for providers. I'm actually working on growing that, and you could definitely reach out to me if anybody know providers who are struggling with their practices or looking to start up a practice. Please send them my way. I love just having conversations with providers, and just because I always ask them, what is your end goal? What do you want your practice to look like? And so from there, if it makes sense for us to work, then we make it happen.
Good. All
Absolutely.
right. Thank you, Renee, and thank you, Dr. Barnes, for being on the show. We love when she comes on the show because she's so excited and so much fun. She loves to dance, and now she got her cute little mask. Oh, she's the queen, y'all. She's the queen doctor. So, and we're glad and we're so proud of you, Renee, that you own your own company, and
Thank
we
you.
are praying that God will continue to bless you.
Thank you.
That you will become so big that you'll be asking the workforce to hire you some more people, so we love that. And please remember to tune in every Monday at 8 p.m. Facebook or YouTube. And if you love to be on the show, please contact me at talkshowelma.com. I talk so much I forget my own show title, okay? But anyway, if you want to be on the show, we would love for you to be on the show. And again, like I said, we'll probably end up going to more than one day. Stay tuned for that. And we ask that you all please come on the show and tell your story. We want those that are unknown to become known. See, now I got another friend that we can add to our report of all these people. We always have this beautiful woman that comes on Sister Chat with us and all of that. So, Dr. I'm calling him a doctor now. Dr. Renee, we are calling him a doctor now.
Never know.
We'll call him petty officer.
We thank you for coming on the show. We also salute you for your service. May God bless you. And another shout out to Christina, you say, Christina?
Yes.
His wife, for being so motivational, so encouraging, and most of all, supportive of him being in his business. And your beautiful children, may God bless you all. Until we meet you face to face one day, Christina, may God bless you. Remember, tune in with the Talk of Life Talk Show with Elma, Kimberly, Janae, and Tavana. We love you. May God bless you.
Mwah.